So thinking about a career where you can actually, make a difference.
Hmm.
Becoming an environmental program coordinator, now that's a path less traveled, but it's one that's like packed with purpose, right?
Yeah.
You've been smart enough to tap into RoleCatcher for guidance.
That choice.
And lucky for you, we're diving deep into their insights today.
And what's striking about RoleCatcher's take is, well, they don't sugarcoat it. They emphasize this isn't just about, hugging trees.
Right.
It's about understanding the nitty-gritty of environmental regulations, navigating the complexities of project management,
Oh, yeah.
and even becoming a bit of an environmental advocate to the public.
Right. It's like you need the heart of an environmentalist,
Mm.
but the mind of, well, a multi-talented professional.
Exactly.
RoleCatcher uses this phrase, developing and implementing programs.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like day to day?
Okay, so imagine this. You could be on site at a construction project, right? Making sure they're adhering to green building standards. But
Yeah.
back at the office, analyzing energy consumption data to
Hmm.
to pinpoint areas for improvement.
Wow.
You might even find yourself like leading a workshop, educating community members about sustainable practices.
It's fascinating how multifaceted it is.
Yeah, it's pretty diverse.
And that reminds me of RoleCatcher's breakdown of essential skills.
Okay.
Obviously, communication is key.
Right.
We're talking reading, writing, speaking. You've got to get your point across clearly.
Of course, yeah.
But then they hit you with critical thinking and complex problem solving,
Hmm.
which honestly feels very real-world applicable.
Absolutely. Think about it. You're facing a complex environmental challenge. Maybe it's reducing waste in a manufacturing plant.
Okay.
You're not just following a manual, you're analyzing data,
Right.
understanding the interconnected systems, and evaluating potential solutions, often with limited resources or, pushback. That requires some serious brain power.
Okay. So we're talking serious problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
But then they throw systems evaluation into the mix.
Right.
Now, to someone outside the field, that might sound, well, kind of intimidating.
It can sound a little jargony.
Yeah. So break it down for us. What does that even mean in this context?
Okay, so think of it like this.
Yeah.
You're not just focusing on one small piece of the puzzle. You're looking at the entire picture. Let's say you're working for a company that wants to reduce its carbon footprint, right?
Okay.
You're not just swallowing out light bulbs.
Right.
You're examining their entire supply chain.
Oh, wow.
From raw material extraction to transportation to manufacturing processes.
Wow.
To identify the biggest environmental culprits and then finding, creative, efficient ways to make the entire system more sustainable.
That's a lot more than I initially thought. And speaking of career progression, RoleCatcher maps out a pretty clear ladder you can climb in this field, right?
They do, yeah.
Starting as an assistant and potentially working your way up to a sustainability manager role.
Exactly. And those example profiles they provide are incredibly useful. They paint a picture of what each stage might look like in terms of, responsibilities
Okay.
and the skills you need to master to progress. They actually highlight the skills needed at each level, moving from assisting with programs to eventually leading organization-wide sustainability strategies.
Wow.
It really shows you the potential growth trajectory here.
Which is something I think a lot of people starting out really want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what does my future look like in this role?
Right.
Can I move up?
Mm-hmm.
Where can I go?
Yep.
And it seems like RoleCatcher does a good job of laying that out.
They do.
But let's get into the nitty-gritty of climbing that ladder.
Okay.
What does that initial step, that environmental program assistant role, really entail based on what you're seeing here?
Well, think of it as a crash course in the field.
Okay.
You're learning the ropes,
Right.
providing support to senior staff,
Not-
maybe doing a lot of research data entry,
Yeah.
even helping to organize meetings or events.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Even in an entry-level position, RoleCatcher emphasizes that you can still make a real impact.
How so?
And-
What kind of example does RoleCatcher give?
So one profile they highlight is someone who, as an assistant, noticed inefficiencies in their company's recycling program.
Yeah.
And instead of just, letting it slide,
Yeah.
they took the initiative to analyze the data,
Right.
came up with some cost-effective solutions,
Okay.
presented their findings, and boom, they implemented a whole new system.
Wow.
It's about being observant, proactive,
Yeah.
and not being afraid to speak up,
Right.
even if you're, the newbie in the room.
I like it. Okay. So you start as an assistant, learning, contributing,
Right.
but then what? How do you actually climb that ladder to, say, a senior coordinator
Right.
or even a sustainability manager role.
Yeah.
What does that look like in real world experience?
It's about, expanding your skill set
Okay.
and taking on increasing responsibility.
Right, right.
RoleCatcher's profiles show how people in those higher level roles have often, spearheaded major projects,
Okay.
maybe implemented new sustainability initiatives company-wide,
Uh-huh.
or even negotiated with external stakeholders to reduce environmental impact.
It sounds like those soft skills that RoleCatcher mentioned earlier come into play even more as you move up.
Oh, for sure.
I'm thinking leadership, negotiation, being able to rally people around a common goal.
Right.
That's a whole other skill set layered on top of the technical stuff.
Absolutely. Imagine you're a sustainability manager, right? Trying to get buy-in from different departments on a new waste reduction strategy.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to communicate the benefits clearly, address concerns, and maybe even do some creative problem solving to find solutions that work for everyone.
Right.
It's as much about people skills as it is about knowing the ins and outs of environmental regulations.
Right, and that's where experience comes in, right?
Exactly.
The more you do, the more you learn, the better equipped you are to handle those higher level challenges.
For sure.
But RoleCatcher also seems big on the idea of continuous learning,
Yeah.
going beyond just on-the-job experience.
Mm-hmm.
They even have a whole section on certifications.
Right, and this is key because it shows you're serious about your professional development.
Right.
And that you're staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
They mention the LA Green Associate Certification, which for anyone listening who's not familiar, focuses on green building practices.
Okay, so back up for a second because, to be honest, I've heard that term thrown around.
Yeah.
But never really understood what it meant.
Sure.
What does it actually entail?
So LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
Okay.
It's a globally recognized rating system for buildings that meet certain environmental standards, from energy efficiency to water conservation to indoor environmental quality. A LEED Green Associate understands these principles and can contribute to projects aiming for ELE certification.
So it's like a stamp of approval that you know your stuff when it comes to sustainable building.
Exactly. And having that certification on your resume can be a major differentiator, especially in a competitive job market.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
RoleCatcher actually recommends building a portfolio of projects, certifications, even volunteer experience to showcase your passion and expertise.
It makes sense. It's like they're saying, don't just tell us you're passionate about the environment. Show us.
Exactly.
And speaking of showcasing yourself, RoleCatcher seems pretty high on using technology to your advantage.
Yes.
Particularly in the job search process.
Right.
Which, these days.
Of course, yeah.
It's everything.
And we can't ignore the elephant in the room, or should I say the algorithm in the room.
Oh, there it is.
AI is changing the game when it comes to recruitment.
It's like every job posting these days is being filtered through some sort of AI bot before it even reaches a human.
Yeah, it's pretty common now.
So how does RoleCatcher propose you to navigate that? Well, RoleCatcher is all about using AI to fight fire with fire, right?
Yeah, kind of.
They've got this whole AI-powered resume builder that tailors your application to each specific job description using those keywords that make the algorithms happy.
It's pretty clever, actually. Instead of seeing AI as, the enemy, they're teaching you how to use it to your advantage. And honestly, think about it. You're an environmental expert, right?
Yeah.
You're all about using innovation and technology to solve problems. Why not apply that same approach to your job search?
It's like they're saying, you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly.
But even with all these digital tools at our disposal, isn't there a risk of relying too much on platforms like RoleCatcher?
Well, yeah, there's always that balance, right?
Yeah.
What about the good old-fashioned human element of, networking, building connections, putting yourself out there?
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher can provide you with a fantastic foundation, knowledge, skills, connections.
Right.
But it's up to you to build on that foundation.
Absolutely.
Think about volunteering for an environmental organization, attending industry conferences, or even reaching out directly to people working in roles you admire.
Yeah, those are all fantastic ideas.
It's about demonstrating, a genuine passion and initiative
Yes.
that goes beyond just clicking through a website.
Exactly.
It's showing them you're not just interested in, a job.
Yeah.
You're invested in the field.
Precisely. And those face-to-face interactions, the relationships you build, those can be invaluable. It's a chance to, like, learn from others' experiences, get your foot in the door, and show what you're truly capable of.
So it's like that old saying, it's not what,
Right.
But WHO, still rings true, even in our digital age.
To a certain extent, yeah. But I think a more accurate version in this context is it's not just what you know, but who you know and how you show it.
I like that. It's about finding that balance, leveraging the best of both worlds, the digital and the human.
Exactly.
To create your own unique path.
Well said.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of becoming an environmental program coordinator.
Yes, we have.
With a little help from RoleCatcher, of course.
Of course.
So as you continue exploring this career path, here's something to consider. How can you use your unique skills and passions, not just to land a job, but to truly become a game changer in the field of environmental sustainability?
That's a great question.
That is a question worth pondering for all of us, no matter where we are in our careers.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Yes.
Keep asking those insightful questions and keep diving deep.